My sister missed 27, but there's a video that can be referenced. Right, but in 27, the writing was describing in a sense that the person was actually standing outside in the courtyard, looking at the external things set up, the bronze altar, the linen walls, and the ever burning lamp, which tended from evening to evening. So now in Shemot chapter 28, we're going to look at the call to Aaron and his sons. They were told to draw near, and he actually described what clothing they should approach in. So we're going to read this together from verses 1 through to 5 beginning. It says, "And now take Aharon your brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister to me as priest, Aaron and Aaron's sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar." Verse 2, "And you shall make set apart garments for Aaron your brother, for esteem and for comeliness. And you speak to all the wise of heart, whom I have filled with a spirit of wisdom, and they shall make the garments of Aaron to set him apart, for him to serve as priest to me. And these are the garments which they make: a breastplate, a shoulder garment, a robe, an embroidered long shirt, a turban, and a girdle. And they shall make set apart garments for Aaron your brother and his sons, for him to serve as priest to me. And they shall take the gold and the blue and the purple and the scarlet material and the fine linen." All right, I think I'm hearing some sound in the background. If you could just mute that particular sound for me, thanks much. Right, so we've just read from verses 1 through to 5 about the calling of Aharon and his sons. Right, and this was a direct instruction to Moshe. Recall that in chapter 27, that's the only chapter that did not address Moshe or have his name mentioned. Right, so this calling for Aaron and his sons as priests, I'm wondering, if at any point Moshe could have been a priest, or is it that Moshe disqualified himself by sharing his objections to the job initially? Just ministerial work. But what we're seeing here is that if you are to be a priest, you must be called. So I'm not thinking that it is a cool thing to do and I can just jump into priesthood, right? A lot of persons are self-proclaimed nowadays, right? They are not ordained by the Creator, but they take upon themselves duties that reflect what the priest would do. And I'm wondering, if there's a way to say who is called and who is not called, and who is snuffing up themselves and who not. But these had to be specially chosen by the Creator. He had to specially set them apart, and through Moshe to serve as the priests, right? In Hebrew, they're called kohanim. And to be priests, they had to dress in special garments. It is an honorable service, and much is required of them, and it's a big title. Clothes, nowadays, when you look at somebody's clothes, you can see sometimes it suggests the type of person that they are, their stock. Among the royalties, they dress a special way to portray and project dignity. when you look at persons, the dress can really bring them off, make show beauty, right? But in this particular situation for the priest, it was a set apartness to serve the Creator, and they had to look different. They had to appear different as well. Question is, who will make these garments? In earlier chapters we read about the embroiders and the weave masters. We didn't see any position for dressmaker or tailor in the preceding chapters. Who will make these clothes? Did any of the verses actually highlight who was to make these clothes? You shall make, and you shall make. Oh, verse 3 actually says, and speak to all the wise of art whom I have filled with a spirit of wisdom, and they shall make the garments of Aharon. Okay, good. So it's people who had a wisdom, the Chokmah, who were wise of heart, right? And these are people who the Creator set apart, skilled people. And I'm sure he would be the one that endowed them with that particular skill. And these people would have been from the community of Israel. And it is from the community that these persons gifted their gifts of clothing and to do the designs as instructed. All right, let's read some more from verses 6 through to 14. And shall make the shoulder garment of gold, of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine woven linen, the work of a skilled workman. Verse 7. It is to have 2 shoulder pieces joined at its 2 edges, and so it is joined together. And the embroidered band of the shoulder garment, which is on it, is of the same workmanship, made of gold, of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine woven linen. Verse 9. And you shall take 2 showm stones and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the remaining 6 on the other stone according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engraving of a signet, engrave the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel, set them in settings of gold. And you shall put the 2 stones on the shoulder pieces of the shoulder garment as stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel. And Aharon shall bear their names before the Creator on his 2 shoulders for a remembrance. And you shall make settings of gold and 2 chains of clean gold like braided cords, and fasten the braiding chains to the settings. All right, so we read about the stones there. Special stones in the Ephod. Right. These are not ordinary garments, and whenever I reflect on when the pictures that I've stumbled upon for priests, they were like dressed in like tennis, lawn tennis kind of clothing, white and the shorts and so on. But we should bear in mind that there was a garment for the priest and there was a garment for the high priest. So the high priest would actually wear the garment that the priest wears, but it's covered with other adornments. So we're going into these descriptions. The ephod, what the ephod is like? Well, it looks like an apron, and you see the gold laces over it, woven with gold. Other colors, so blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, and the threads are hammered on it, and it seems as if it is woven or stitched into the fabric. There's also something like what I know as the jumper, things on the left and the right shoulder coming down to the belt, that you can clip on at the front and at the back. Yes, and belt also is decorative, and it helps to make the materials secure. The stones, they are set in gold settings and they are placed on the shoulder, engraved. I think there's a part where I read where it says that the names of the 12 tribes were listed, and they were listed in birth order. So you'd have Reuben, then Shimon, then Levi, then Yehuda, and continue. And then on the other side, you'd have the other 6 as well. Right? I'm just wondering, what is the significance of all these little dynamic aspects of the dress code? What does it represent? Take, for example, the ephod. Right? Take, for example, the stones. What's the purpose of these things? So the ephod, it's as was said, it's a richly woven priestly garment that connects the high priest to the rest of the outfit and signals that his special role in the Creator's house. The onyx stones with the names of the priests, closer to the shoulder area, it represents that the people the Creator has the 12 names, the 12 tribes. He's concerned about them, and it's that they are important to his service. So that's what I think why the names of the 12 tribes are on it. There is a particular verse that says speak to remembering. I think it's verse 12. And I want to identify who is doing the remembering. Is it the Creator doing the remembering in verse 12? Or is it the priest doing the remembering? Or is it the children of Israel are to remember? Let's look at it again. And Aharon shall bear their name before the Creator on his 2 shoulders for a remembrance. Oh, well, there's another remembrance mentioned. It says, and you shall put the 2 stones on the shoulder pieces of the shoulder garment as stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel. Okay, so it's a remembrance for the sons of Israel. Okay, at one point I was looking at it as just, well, that makes sense, because does the Creator really need to remember? And does the Creator ever forget? Right, so they are called memorial stones. And we are familiar with memorials that are services that are held, right? So they are memorial stones before the Creator, but they also remind the priests and the people that his ministry is on behalf of all Israel. So it's a reminder, especially to the priest and the people. All right, that was it at verse 12. We're going to move on from verses 15 through to 30. Verse 15 says, and you shall make a breastplate of right ruling, a work of a skilled workman, like the work of the shoulder garment. Make it of gold, of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine woven linen. It is square, double a span its length, and a span its width. And you shall put settings of stones in it, 4 rows of stones. The first row is a ruby, a topaz, and an emerald. And the second row is a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row is a jacinth, a agate, and an amethyst. Verse 20. And the fourth row is a beryl, and a shoam, and a jasper. They are set in gold settings, and the stones are according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, each one with its own name for the 12 tribes. And you shall make braided chains of corded work for the breastplate at the end of clean gold. And you shall make 2 rings of gold for the breastplate, and shall put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And you shall put the 2 cords of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 cords you fasten to the 2 settings and put them on the shoulder pieces of the shoulder garment in the front. And you shall make 2 rings of gold, and shall put them on the 2 ends of breastplate, on the edge of it, which is on the inner circle side of the shoulder garment. And you shall make 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 shoulder pieces underneath the shoulder garment, on the front of it, close to the seam above the embroidered band of the shoulder garment. And they bind the breastplate by means of its rings to the rings of the shoulder garment using a blue cord, so that it is above the embroidered band of the shoulder garment, so that the breastplate does not come loose from the shoulder garment. And Aharon shall bear the names of the sons of Israel on the breastplate of right ruling over his heart, when he goes into the set-apart place for a remembrance before the Creator continually. And into the breastplate of right ruling you shall put the Urim and the Tummim, and they shall be on the heart of Aharon when he goes in before the Creator. And Aharon shall bear the right ruling of the children of Israel on his heart before the Creator continually. This Urim and this Tummim appears to be a mystery, because we don't see much where it is referenced, right? And even in another part of Scripture where it's referenced, that it is in the earlier chapter. Well, no, in Numbers. Let me see if I can bring it up. Numbers 27. I'm trying to see if we can glean more information about this Urim and or Tummim. Numbers 27 verse 21 says, and he is to stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire before the Creator for him by the right ruling of the Urim. And his word they go out, and at his word they come in, both he and the children of Israel with him, all the congregation. Inquire before the Creator for him by the right ruling of the Urim. Okay, so right ruling is teaching, or it represents judgment, right? So that's where the Urim comes into place and is mentioned. So those are the 2 areas that we see. That's the second order area that we see, that the Urim is mentioned. So it is used in judgment, and they are placed on the inside the breastpiece. So that's closer to Aaron's heart when he enters. So what is it? What is its real purpose? You just know that, I don't know if he touches it while he corresponds with the Creator, or when he is making a decision for Israel, or when he's seeking judgment for Israel. He holds on to it, but it's usually mentioned in judgment. So that's a hint for us. The breastpiece is made like the Ephod, and there are 5 kinds of material that we see mentioned more than once, right? And we see the colors of the things that are mentioned, reading up to verse 30. The gemstones, how many of them? There were 12, right, in 4 rows. So each stone was engraved with a tribal name, right? We see gold chain. So gold chain. The priests wore gold chain. So, I might consider securing a gold chain as well. Not because I'm no priest, but the adornment of these rulers, I'm wondering if the ordinary person could wear it, or it's only special people could wear it. That's something I'm considering. Is this something to be copied by the average Israelite, or that's a leave alone? Because if so, then people wearing jewelry, whenever I see a gold chain next, then of course I'll hopefully I'll be reminded that the high priest or the priest would have been required to wear a gold chain. Oh, but it doesn't state where it's worn. It just said that it's attached to the breastpiece securely to the ephod, right? So that is something else to note, right? And he bears the name, that's Aaron, referring to Aaron. He bears the name of judgment, the name of the sons of Israel over close to his heart, you know. And he says, before the Creator continually. I think it's verse 30 that mentions that, for our remembrance before the Creator continually. All right, we'll read some more. We could read another 5 verses up to 35. So Shemot, Exodus chapter 28. We're reading from, I'll read from 31 through to 35 and onward. And you shall make the robe of the shoulder garment all of blue, and the opening for its edge shall be in the middle of it, a woven binding all around its opening, like the opening in a scaled armor, so that it does not tear. And on its hem you shall make pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet material all around its hem, and bells of gold between them all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate on the hem of the robe all around. And it shall be upon Aharon to attend in, and its sound shall be heard when he goes in to the set apart place before the Creator, when he comes out, so that he does not die. So we're seeing here, well, I see the pomegranate thing is mentioned twice. Right, that's what verse 34 says, a golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and pomegranate. So if it's 2 times on the M, it suggests that it's worn maybe at each side or at the front and the back, one each. Right, so those things would make noise. The golden bell for sure, and the priest, when he is going in the inner sanctuary, if they would hear when he's going and hear when he's coming, right? And if they don't hear anything, then that is a signal. And he is to wear these so that he does not die. It says, and it shall be upon Aaron, and his sound shall be heard when he goes in the set apart place and when he comes out, so that he does not die. So basically, there's a grave liability for him not to wear it. His movement before the Creator must be audible. People must hear, right? Because the Creator would know that he is the one that's moving through the place. Right? There was a particular color that should be worn by itself, and that is for the robe of the ephod. It's entirely blue. You know, when I read this, it reminds me of the tzitzit instruction in Numbers 15, where people start putting all sorts of colors on the tzitzit. But, you know, the instruction was tell the children to wear a blue string around the hem of their garments. So unless blue back then is different from the blue that we know as blue today. But, you know, well, I wear tzitzits on my pants, the left and right side, and to me that is around. But it has other colors in it, but regardless, it must have blue in it. This particular instruction for the ephod is different. It's blue only, and that's the instruction. So, and it's worn under the tunic. Sorry. So the question may arise: is it to be seen or it's not to be seen? Or you must just always follow the instruction whether or not it's going to be an exposed garment? Yes or no? The M is decorated with pomegranate, right? I use pomegranate not for decoration. I, ensure that I consume pomegranate at least every other day. It's rich in nutrients. I'm not going to say any. and it's a wonderful fruit to consume. Yeah, so let's try and have more pomegranates, seeing that we're also seeing it in the Torah, and seeing that we're trying to follow Torah. Well, it's not an instruction, but the fact that it's one of those fruits, it's just pleasant, more pleasant to consume for me. All right, we're going to read some more. But the blue, what does the blue mean? Well, to me, the sky is blue, right? And the high priest is wrapped in a color that reminds us of the sky and the Creator's realm. Even though we know that the Creator is omnipresent, He is everywhere. It's reinforced that the opening of the garment shall not be torn, and anything is torn, then its integrity is compromised, right? So a torn garment doesn't look good in any way. So not like the jeans that we're wearing today with cut out and patch up and so. It's not for every setting, and it looks tacky when you think about it in terms of a formal or corporate setting. So with this tunic, it must not be torn, and that would be dishonoring and possibly disqualify the priest, in service if he doesn't turn up good. So dress is very important. People nowadays trying to disregard dress code, right? But if we are set apart people, we can't look and appear any way. What is the purpose of well, we already looked at the purpose of the bell to make the sound. All right, so that's much we have grasped from these few verses. Let's read to the end. Well, 36 to 38 says, "And you shall make a plate of clean gold and engrave on it, like the engraving of a signet, set apartness to the Creator. You shall put it on a blue cord, and it shall be on the turban. It is to be on the front of the turban. And it shall be on the forehead of Aharon. And Aaron shall bear the guilt of the set apart gifts which the children of Israel set apart in all their set apart gifts. And it shall always be on his forehead for acceptance for them before the Creator." Right. So what is it? It says it should be engraved like the engraving of a signet, set apartness to the Creator. So it's the gold plate, right? And these are expensive commodities. Gold is an expensive commodity. All right. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Yes. So we're at Shemot chapter 28. And we're looking at verses 36 through to 38. Right, so in Leviticus 7 and 18, 7 verse 18 and Leviticus 19 verse 7, we see other references to what we've just read. Pure gold plate Z is engraved like a signet with saying set apart to the Creator. It is attached on a blue cord to the front of the high priest's turban or cap. It rests on his forehead so that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things. And that is something to consider. Why should he bear any guilt unless he has done a wrong? If offerings are imperfect or mishandled, he carries that guilt into the Creator's presence, so the people's gifts are accepted. Okay, so that's his responsibility. So he has to bear the iniquity or the guilt if offerings are not properly presented. It shall be on his forehead always, and I do not believe it is the always as in our English language suggests, because always would mean that even in his sleep, when he's sleeping, it should be on his forehead. I don't see anybody living with a garment on his or her body for the entire lifetime. So the always would suggest that whenever he is in service, that he is to wear it on his forehead. Whenever he's in a set apart place and carrying out set apart responsibilities in the sanctuary. And we see that the word set apart to the Creator on the gold plate, and it just means that it belongs exclusively to the Creator. Just like when you say you want to put your name on it or put a ring on it or something, you're trying to show ownership, right, and dedication to. So the priest is owned by the Creator. He is the firstborn, the Levites. He is marked on his forehead as set apart. Right. The question may arise: how does the plate relate to the iniquity of the set apart things? Right. So it is the high priest that bear any defect in the offerings that's presented to the Creator. All right. We're going to read from 39 through to 43, and I think 43 is the final verse. I thought it was at 38. 38. Shemot chapter 28, verse 39 says, "And you shall weave the long shirt of fine linen, and shall make the turban of fine linen, and you shall make the girdle of woven work. And make long shirts for Aaron's sons, and you shall make the girdles for them. You shall make turbans for them, for esteem and comeliness. And you shall put them on Aharon your brother, and on his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and shall ordain them, and shall set them apart. And they shall serve as priests to me. And make fine linen trousers for them to cover their nakedness, reaching from the waist to the thighs. And they shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they come into the tent of appointment, or when they come near the slaughter place to attend in the set apart place, so that they do not bear crookedness and die a law forever to him and to his seed after him." I finally see pants mentioned, because I'm saying, how can garments be mentioned for male and pants not in it? Right? At one stage, I thought it was just all frock or tunic or so the priest wears. But here we see, it was in verse 40. 2. Linen trousers for them to cover their nakedness, reaching from the waist to the thigh. Waist to the thigh, but that's still short. Well, right, so that's the instruction, regardless of how it appears to us. The tunic, turban, and the sash for Aaron are fine linen. I see cotton as a good quality too, but what's the difference between wearing cotton pants and a linen pants? The linen, I know, is something that takes a lot of time of water and to iron and spray starch, right? So these garments are made for beauty, for them to look good. That was the best style and best fashion in that time, and it's the priest that wore it. 4 garments: tunic, sash, cap, and the linen garments. So cap, for those who wear cap, it's not only to be worn by bald-headed persons who are trying to hide their bald head, but it was a priestly thing back then. And the pants, always a must, that cover much. Moshe was the one to clothe them, anoint them, and consecrate them with these garments so that they could serve. Without these garments, they couldn't serve. It's just like you go to school, you don't have a uniform, you can't serve. Right? Uniform and proper clothes, you can't go into certain locations without having adhering to dress code. Right? Without the linen clothes, the risk, it was a risk, it was a liability, because that would cause them to be guilty of not following the instruction. And without that clothes, they would not be appearing modest and decent. And in terms of modesty and decent, those are non-negotiable in the Creator's set apart place. So women as well, there's no mention, but it is expected that the women today of Israel, of Hebrew descent, should present themselves modest, regardless of the curve or no curve. Modesty must, it's a relative word, but they must be covered, right? We rest it at that. Wear linen when you can. In this particular scenario, I'm not sure why the linen and not wool, because wool is also another material mentioned in scripture. But little that we know is that linen is cool and it's breathable, and maybe the wool would have been preventing the passing through of air, right? So maybe creators want them to wear that because they didn't want them to sweat on the job or sweat too heavily in his presence, right? And linen was more highly regarded, and it was as symbolic of purity and purity itself, right? But that's a lot of clothes being mentioned. I wonder if they're not hot in it. Linen tunic, sash, cap, so on. And plus, on top of that, the anointing oil and the consecration, that would have made them fit for service. So we see all the instruction and we see this strong warning, right? Not to dishonor the Creator and to represent himself decent, right? And set apartness, which I prefer to use instead of holiness, is it's a more proper word, because when I think holy, I think about a hole in a clothes or something, right? But yeah, strictly speaking, set apartness really suggests more, how to regard the garments and the Creator's people, and how the body is to be covered. All right, so we're at the end of the chapter, and there are some questions that I shared in the group this evening. Hope that we had considered them and can actually share in our interpretation. All right. So that's it, basically, for this evening on Shemot chapter 28. Any thoughts? And this chapter really showed that the Creator does not let anyone approach him casually, right? You have to dress up and fix up yourself properly. They were called near, Aaron and his sons, clothed in beauty, and they were charged to carry the people, make the decisions, and keep the sanctuary, how it's to be kept. And even on their foreheads, every time they step in, they had to have things mentioned on it. So that's very good. So thanks for sharing, everyone. Shalom, shalom.